The Story of Ruth. In the days when judges ruled over the land of Israel, there was a famine, which meant that there was very little food for anyone to eat. A woman named Naomi, together with her husband Elimelech, moved from Bethlehem to the pagan country of Moab and stayed there. But Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with 2 sons. These 2 sons married Moabite women. One of these women was named Orpah, and the other was named Ruth. Together they lived there in Moab about 10 years. But both Naomi's sons died, so that Orpah and Ruth had no husband. After her family had died, her husband and her 2 sons, Naomi was determined to return to Israel, so that she could continue to worship the one true God. She told Orpah and Ruth that she intended to return to Israel, and they both said, "Let us go with you." But Naomi said, "Go back to your family's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt kindly with me. Please go back to your house and your gods and find a husband for yourself." When Orpah heard this, she kissed her mother-in-law and said goodbye. But Ruth clung to Naomi and said, "I will follow you wherever you go. Do not tell me to leave you. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God." When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to come with her, she allowed it, and together Ruth and Naomi returned to the town of Bethlehem. Now Naomi had a wealthy kinsman, whose name was Boaz, and he had many fields of wheat. Then Ruth said to Naomi, "Please let me go into the field and glean the grain as they harvest it." Now to glean the grain meant to pick up what was left over on the ground. And Naomi said, "Go, my daughter." So Ruth went and gleaned the fields after the reapers had harvested. When Boaz came to look at his fields, he said, "Who is that woman gleaning in the fields?" The servants answered, "That is the Moabite woman named Ruth. She came back with Naomi." Boaz said to his servants, "Let her glean and do not bother her." Days went by, and Boaz noticed her again, and told his servants, "Leave some of the grain out for her in a bundle, and allow her to take it. Be very gracious to her." Ruth was very thankful to Boaz, and when she came back to Naomi with her grain, she told Naomi about it. Naomi, upon hearing this, said, "Boaz is a relative of ours, one of our nearest kinsmen." Hearing this, Ruth continued to glean in the fields of Boaz until the end of the harvest. Now in those days before Christ walked on earth, there was a tradition of God that if a woman's husband died, the husband's nearest kinsman could marry his widow. So Naomi said to Ruth, "Wash yourself, anoint yourself, and put on your best clothes, and go down to meet Boaz, and tell him that he is our nearest kinsman." So Ruth did as Naomi had told her to do. Ruth met Boaz and told him all that Naomi had said. And when Boaz heard this, he replied, "Blessed are you by the Lord. Do not fear in what you ask. But I am not your nearest kinsman. There is a kinsman nearer than I. But I will go to him, and I will speak to him. And if he is not willing to marry you, then I will marry you as your nearest kinsman, as is the tradition." Then Boaz gave Ruth 6 measures of barley, and Ruth went back to Naomi. The next day Boaz went up to the gate and waited for his next of kin, the one that Boaz had spoken of, who was near kinsman to Ruth than he. When his kinsman had arrived, Boaz said, "Come here, friend, sit down, let us talk." And he found the elders of the town so they could listen. And he said to the nearest kin, "Naomi has come back from the country of Moab and is selling a parcel of land which belonged to our kinsman Elimelech. So I thought I would tell you of it, and say, buy it in the presence of these elders here." The other kinsman was very happy, and was about to buy it, when Boaz added, "Oh, one more thing. If you buy the field, you are also required to marry Ruth, who comes with the land, the Moabite woman." When the next of kin heard this, he said, "Oh, I cannot buy the land." He did not want to get married. He said, "Boaz, you buy the land, and you can marry Ruth." This is what Boaz had planned all along. And Boaz agreed in the presence of the elders who witnessed it. So Boaz married Ruth, and she bore him a son named Obed. Obed would become the father of Jesse, and Jesse would become the father of David, who would become king of Israel.